It has been a hot minute since we've heard that.
Like a year, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, it probably is when you look. I mean, I think our last episode we did was Halloween.
I was gonna say, I think the last episode we did, we painted our faces like Darth Maul.
But are we ruining it? I mean, because that's a hell of a way to go out.
That's like we just shouldn't come back. Like stay out. We're on top.
We just jumped the shark and painted ourselves as Maul, and that was how we ended it.
Yeah, I mean that was a fun time. That was a fun time. We'll have to do something similar.
Yeah,
this
I mean,
year.
our lives just got crazy, very crazy.
They did. Yeah. Yours did quite a bit.
Yeah, yours got very intense at a little bit. I don't know if you want to.
I moved
states, bro. That's a big time.
Living in a state I've never lived in before in my entire life.
That's true. But you're closer to me.
I am. So, closer to friends, closer to family. Well, not closer to family. No. All my family's back home, but closer to friend, we'll say.
Yeah, friend. Yeah. No, and then on my end, my son was born, my little Star Wars baby, bro. May 4th.
That was the coolest thing. I remember you were so like, it's a possibility. It could happen on Star Wars Day. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, had you had twins, you would have had to go with Luke and Leia. You know what I mean?
That was the great part, is that my wife was totally game for it. Like,
really?
Yeah, she was like, if it was twins, we would do it. But no, man. Kudos to my wife, though, because it was 11:45 p.m. on May 4th. So, like, it was very close to being May 5th.
You barely missed the cut then.
Yeah, she told the doctor. The doctor was like, well, the baby might come on May 5th. Or, yeah, May 5th. And she's like, I'm not having a Cinco de Mayo, baby. She's like, get the doctor in here.
It could have been Revenge of the 5th.
That's true. Revenge of the 5th. Yeah.
Hey.
Yep. But I know our lives have been crazy, but there's a lot of like Star Wars stuff that's happened since we kind of last spoke. And I got a short list here. First up, James Earl Jones died.
Dude, yeah. So first off, I don't know if this was a joke somebody else had made one time, but somebody had said that he passed, I want to say like 6 months ago or something like that. And I had the thought of like, or maybe we talked about it. Did we talk about if he was still alive or not? We couldn't remember.
I don't know.
I just remember that being like a thing. But yeah, I mean, when the news kind of officially broke, that was a huge, like, I mean, that's a lot of childhood for us, like with Mufasa and Darth Vader, like two just great characters voiced by him. And it's just already frustrating. I don't know how much he's done with Vader, though. Did he do pretty much everything, or was there a couple of movies that they used somebody else?
When we watched Kenobi, I think they said that they like used AI versions of his voice, because I thought he was pretty much done. Okay. But no, I saw something that was like, have you seen the new Mufasa movie?
Is that out already?
I don't know if it's out. I've heard.
I saw a trailer for it.
So have you heard like the premise of it though?
Yeah, which I think is insane.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
Scar's supposed to be the real king. Yeah,
like real heir to the throne, and he just stole it from him. Apparently, yeah. I'm like, what?
So on Reddit, after James Earl Jones died, someone was like, he just couldn't deal with it. And I was like, you can't go there, man.
Oh no.
But yeah, great way to return to the podcast. Start off with like a very somber, but other things. New Star Wars video games. I got Outlaws. That's been a freaking amazing game. Absolutely adore that one. Ahsoka season 2. Yeah, dude. Like I was telling, I don't know if you and I were talking about it offline or if I was just talking with our other friend about it, but it's like Fallout but Star Wars. So it's like open world.
Oh, okay.
You go to these different planets. Like I was on Tatooine and I'm just riding my speeder around, and then like, oh no, here's Luke's moisture farm. And like you're running through his house and like looking through there, and then you're like,
oh wow,
going through the mountains of Tatooine, and like I'm in the dunes of Tatooine riding on my speeder bike, and this giant sandworm comes out of nowhere trying to eat me. And it's not like story moments. This is like real like in-game stuff, and
it's part of the environment.
Yeah, it's dope. And the thing I was telling our friend Brendan was that most Star Wars games are like hack and slash, like very fast-paced video games. This one's a very like strategic stealth, like slow-paced game, which where I'm at in my life right now, I'm just like
all for it.
Yeah, I'm like, let's go.
I
So that's
think
been fun.
the only thing I've been playing Star Wars video game wise has been the original Battlefront 2.
Mm.
And that was only because I saw it on my Xbox and I was like, is this like the old one or is this the newer one? So I clicked it and it was for sure the old one. And I was like, yo, first off, really hard to figure out the controls and everything again
Oh yeah.
because back then the controllers were different. And so once I got adjusted to that, it still took me some time. But my son, he's getting more and more invested in the Star Wars universe. He really kind of wasn't before, like with Marvel or anything. He's just never been a big movie guy. And so it's always been kind of hard to get him into Star Wars. My daughter just absolutely is obsessed with everything Star Wars. So she's all, fully on board, but he's always kind of been like, eh. But it was almost like him seeing the video game and seeing that you could be these different characters. And kind of like what you said about you enjoying the Outlaws game
Hmm.
where you're kind of just in the world. He was like realizing that because he's sat through the movies, but I could tell that he really wasn't kind of paying much attention. So but it kind of starting to click with him and he was like, oh, he goes, I remember that from the movie. And I was like, oh yes. It kind of like made me have this like moment of like, yes, please enjoy these, like I'd really appreciate it.
It's funny you mentioned that because I was playing on my like Logitech G Cloud. I was playing the Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. Remember that, like the old
Is
N64
that from the
game?
64? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was like Dash Rendar. I was playing that, and the controls on that game are rough. And I was just like, I don't know how we played this. I do not know how we played this.
For the longest time I always said that the N64 controller was by far like my favorite and best
Hmm.
controller until I tried to play GoldenEye again and I tried using the N64 controller and I was like, I don't know how to aim with
Yeah, yeah,
buttons. Like I was terrible. And I
yeah.
I was
Even
like, I
like
remember being,
Mario 64, like controlling the camera is so tough.
oh
It's just
man.
like going back. I don't know. You know, kids today just have like they got the cream of the crop, dude. It's so great.
So yeah, but nowadays they're more like touchpad stuff. Like my son, he can straight up play like first person shooters with like an iPad, and I can't. My fingers need like a joystick. I need to have like a joystick that I can mess
You
around
think
with,
our
not just
kids' generations are gonna have like flat thumbs
you know
because
what
of
they
that?
say about like our pinkies are different now because we hold our
Oh,
phones.
I did not hear that. What was that?
You ever heard that? They say
No.
that like because of the way you hold your phone, like the bottom of your phone, like you support it with your pinky.
Mm-hmm.
And so they said that you now have like a bend in your pinky.
Hmm. Oh yeah,
Do you?
I do.
A little bit?
Yeah. Who else got a
Damn
bend in
fingers.
their pinky? Put it in the
Let us know if your pinky's bent.
hashtag curved pinkies. Let's go. No, yeah, it's weird, man. Like it makes me wonder how it's going to evolve because I know there's other things that's like when they talk about like the joints in people's fingers changing and like your people one I hope doesn't continue is like there's people who have like they call it like monitor neck where like you're just like this and you got like a hunch in your back and I'm like
Oh
I hope
God.
that's not what we start looking like as human beings.
Or
It's
like
just like
the dents
oh
in the forehead and the
yeah,
head.
yeah, like Tim the Tap Man, how he has like a
Yeah.
dent. What's that? What if that's what our species looks like in like 40 years? Just dented foreheads.
I will say that my hair, like because I wear this headset quite often, when
Mm-hmm.
I do my hair, sometimes I'll try to spike all of it, but like
Yeah.
this part in my hair just won't spike up. It wants to stay flat. And I'm like, oh God. Oh no. I'm getting a dent in my head now.
I've been playing the Oculus more lately, and
Oh yeah.
I that strap goes like straight down the center. And so I was at the hotel last week, and I was playing the Oculus, and I was like, I need to get water, and like I just didn't even think about it. And I took the headset off, and I went to go to the gym to fill up the water. And then when I'm filling up my water bottle, I look at myself in the gym, and my hair is just like,
You have some Ace Ventura thing going on.
yeah, I was just like, wow, this looks great.
That's
Um,
awesome.
So other
That's
news,
awesome.
Ahsoka season 2 got semi greenlit, so we are
Okay.
moving in that direction. I'm gonna be interested to see what they do about Balin because they gotta find someone new. So that's gonna be the big talking point with that moving forward. Other one, Acolyte came out and then completely got destroyed and canceled. So I don't know if they're just gonna be like, that's not canon, but um, we'll have to
So
dive into that someday.
did you watch it? Did you
I
watch
did.
Acolyte?
I did.
I did not. And I kind of at this mode where a lot of like TV series and stuff, I almost keep finding myself like waiting to watch it until it's over because it's almost like that stress of having to wait a whole week
Oh yeah,
before like another episode comes out. And so my
yeah,
plan was let's wait until it's over and then I'll watch the whole thing. Well, I waited until it's over and I just kept hearing through the grapevine, people having all these issues with it and complaining about it. So what's
yeah.
your opinion? Did you like it?
It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't
Okay.
like the greatest thing we've ever gotten in our life. Like
Okay.
it's probably like either like second or third worst Star Wars thing I've ever seen in my life. Like it wasn't anything that blew my
Hmm.
socks off, but it was also just like I could have completely lived without knowing this. Like there was cool moments, but it was just like very Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, like very kind of like old school karate style movie. There was a
Okay.
Wookiee with a Jedi. That was sick. Um,
Wookie, like a Wookiee Jedi?
yeah, and there was a Wookiee Jedi
What?
lightsaber scene. Yeah,
I'm in.
yeah.
I'm totally down to see that. That's crazy.
And then the villain was dope. Like there was like one bad guy fought like I want to say it was like 12 Jedi Knights and just slaughtered them. And it was like it was great, dude. And like there was cool
Hmm.
fight scenes and there was cool aspects to it. But overall the story was just like very meh. Very like this didn't need to be made kind of. But
So do you think, and I think we've had this conversation before, where it's almost kind of like the Marvel thing, where it's kind of just putting content out just to put content out?
yeah.
Do we think that's what's happening?
Yeah, I hope not. I hope that like it's just they gave somebody the ability to make a Star Wars and they swung for the fence and it just didn't click. But no, I still have hope because like I mean again, it's I don't know. I would have to break it. I'm giving very like passive answers here because it's like I don't think it's as bad as the internet treated it.
Okay.
There's people who are like, this is like absolute trash, but it's just it was good, but it just wasn't knock your socks off. It wasn't Andor, it wasn't Rogue One, it wasn't Empire Strikes Back. It was nothing like that.
Okay.
And if you would
So,
have taken Jedi's out of it and taken Star Wars out of it, it probably would have been a decent show, like on its own, just like in its own type of genre.
well, that's what I would kind of like to see more, I guess, from Star Wars is you have a literal universe that you could dive into.
Hmm.
And I think with this one, because this one was essentially taking place before like the prequel movies and everything, right?
Yeah,
So, I mean, why do we keep having to go in the past? Because I feel like when you do that, you start messing with already what's we've seen from the future. So
and
it's like,
they did big time,
okay, so I mean,
big
that's kind
time.
of
Yeah.
an issue there. See, here I am on a Star Wars podcast, and I haven't even watched
No,
the Star Wars
it's
thing, but
see, and that's the thing is I wouldn't even blame you. Like it's like one of the things that people criticize the most about it, and I think it's valid, is like, do you remember in prequels he was like, have you ever heard the story of Darth Plagueis, the what the wise or whatever?
yeah.
We see Darth Plagueis for like
Oh,
2 seconds, and what he is like this creepy creature peeking past a wall, and I'm like, that's literally what it is. He's just like, like watching these two twin sisters because essentially he used the Force to create life, and that's who the two girls in the series are. And like
huh?
people were like, hold up, you just ruined Anakin's story arc by saying Anakin wasn't the only Force baby. And I'm like, well, I don't think it really ruined it because they said in the movie that he had created life in the past and he figured out a way to do it. And we got to see that in the acolyte. I don't
Hmm.
know. That's just my perspective looking at it. Somebody who's way deeper in the Star Wars ecosystem is probably going to be explaining why it's bad, but for me,
Right.
it's just it's what it is.
Well, like I'm saying, I feel like you could almost be more successful doing something like the Outlaws game, where
Hmm.
because you're like a bounty hunter, right?
You're a scoundrel. That's all. Yeah, you get to do
Okay,
bounties in the game, but yeah, like you're just stealing.
but you're a new character in the universe.
Hmm.
Like, show me
Yeah,
that. I'm totally down with that. Show me new characters, new story. It doesn't have to do anything to do with the Anakin, plot line. Doesn't have anything to do with Jedi's or anything. Like, take us through a Star Wars adventure where we're seeing just the universe unfold, which it's so awesome to see. And that's what I really enjoyed about some of the new things that Disney kind of has brought, which was giving us the opportunity to see like the connections with the Clone Wars when we saw Ahsoka, and then the stuff with like Obi-Wan and Anakin in the Kenobi series. Like that was super cool to see. Even having like a brand new Wookiee, I can't remember his name, Car Chrysanthemum or something like that from
Oh
the Boba Fett
yeah.
book of Boba Fett. Like he was a cool character.
Yeah.
So just like show us more stuff. Speaking of which, do you see this big guy behind me?
I was gonna address the elephant in the room.
This is the Home Depot Darth Vader. He's 7 feet tall. He's massive, and he moves like you can see. He's got a pumpkin in his hand,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like his Halloween costume. So then for Christmas time, he has a ornament in his hand that looks like the Death Star, and then his lightsaber is like a candy cane,
That's
like
dope.
is white and red. So I saw it and I was like, I have to get this. And my
Yeah.
dad, huge Star Wars guy, and so as soon as I like FaceTimed him, was like, check this out. He was like, I need to get that immediately. So he tried looking online, couldn't get it, sold out.
Wow.
So then it was like a mission between me and my mom. We're like, we gotta find this. So just I think it was last week, she finally got it for him. So he picked it up and he was stoked.
So is that considered for Home Depot Halloween or Christmas?
For some reason they consider it Christmas. They're selling it as Christmas. So like I went to Home Depot like last week and I saw they had like 3 of them in store with the Christmas stuff. And I was like, all right. They also have a stormtrooper I'm gonna get.
Okay.
Put him right next to him.
My office is gonna look Santa ridiculous. Hat on the stormtrooper.
He comes with a giant candy cane.
Oh damn. That's crazy.
And if you remember my Yoda I have from last year, he's got a Santa hat. I gotta bring him.
You got me that Yoda. I gotta get him down from the attic.
That's right. I forgot.
Yeah. I gotta get him down. Literally, my son was born and my house just got completely destroyed. So we haven't even decorated for anything. But it's been a big conversation. Like my daughter, we're going on walks every night and we see Halloween stuff, and she's like, "When are we decorating?" And I'm like, "Hey, give me time. Give me time."
It took Daddy a year to get his podcast going again. We got to take some time here.
Yeah, we got to get our priorities straight, kid. Speaking of kids, I saw something I wanted to share with you. So I know we're both dads, and we both fondly remember like how we were introduced to Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
How did you introduce your kids to Star Wars? What did you start with a certain movie or?
Oh man, that's a good question. So my daughter, she was born about 5 years before my son, so she was the first one that we showed Star Wars to. Oh man, how in the world? So I do remember it was the 7th one was coming out.
Okay.
And when did that come out? Hold on. I gotta do a Google check real quick. When did Force Awakens come out? Any guesses?
Someone in the chat's like, it was this.
2015, it says. That's actually perfect because that's exactly what I believe how it happened. So that was coming out, and obviously the first trailer for that was just every Star Wars fan was just stoked. So that was coming out. She was 5, and I was like, okay. She was very interested because she knew I like Star Wars, and she already kind of knew what it was before, but didn't really go deep into it. So my family, my mom, she had made a comment like, I don't think I've actually ever seen all of them. Oh, no, it was my wife. My wife is the one that said, I don't think I've ever actually seen all of them. And my parents were like, what? And they're like, we got to have like a Star Wars marathon. So then I think we did it like every week we'd watch one of them. And then we watched all of them basically leading up to Force Awakens. And so my daughter kind of got into it that way. She kind of, and we watched like 4, 5, 6, and then we went back and watched 1, 2, and 3. So we kind of watched them in order of the release, which there's also controversy what people think you should watch them in. But I did it that way because I was worried that, oh no, maybe I didn't do it. I don't remember which way I did it, but I'm pretty sure we did it that way because that was the way, we wanted to introduce Star Wars to everybody. So my daughter just loved it immediately. She loved the characters, like even the droids, like R2 immediately became one of her favorite. Just she thought he was hilarious. But that was how we did it, was because of Force Awakens.
Yeah. So the reason I'm asking is because that's what I was thinking with my daughter. Is like my daughter has seen like Jedi, or the Young Jedi show or whatever that show is, like the little kids one. She knows who BB-8 is, and she's seen like casual stuff, and obviously she's seen my lightsabers and other Star Wars stuff I have. But like, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna introduce her. Whether I go the way you're talking about of doing like 4, 5, 6, or do like the way everybody else says is like 1, 2, 3. And like the one thing that I've always stuck with me is like the first Star Wars movie I ever saw was Empire. I didn't even see A New Hope. I saw Empire first, and I was like blown away. And I always remember that one scene where they're like, "Luke, I am your father," and it's like this crazy payoff and like blows your mind. And so I saw this TikTok this week that was breaking down like how do you capture that surprise for your kid without like ruining it, because there's so much Star Wars content. And so they laid out this strategy that I thought was genius. So you start with Clone Wars, right? It's an animated show, so kids are going to have an easy time liking it, and they get
Okay.
introduced to Anakin, Ahsoka, and then Obi-Wan. So you got like your base understanding of like these characters. And then halfway through Clone Wars you stop and you just say, "Hey, you want to see the originals?" And you're like, "Okay." And so like they understand who Anakin is, they understand who Obi-Wan is. Turn on A New Hope. And A New Hope, you get the introduction to Luke Skywalker, and you're like, "Okay, Skywalker. This is they're related some sorts." So when am I going to see Anakin? And then you see Obi-Wan, and you're like, "Oh, dude from the Clone Wars. I know who this guy is." And then he says, "Anakin Skywalker was killed by Darth Vader." And then your kid goes, "Hold up. I'm sorry. Darth Vader. Who is Darth Vader? He killed like yeah,
Spoiler alert.
yeah. Darth Vader killed the coolest guy of the Clone Wars? Like, what is going on here? Whoever this guy is, I'm bad. I do not like him." And Anakin lost his dad. And then you go on and then you watch Empire Strikes Back, and then you get the whole Luke build up where he's like, "I'm going to take out Darth Vader. I'm going to take him down." And then he gets to it, and it's the whole chop off. And he's like, "Luke, I am your father." And then you're like,
Don't do it, Bryant. Don't
"What?"
do it. You're messing it up. You're messing up the line.
You're like, "Oh, Luke?
He never says
Vader?"
Luke.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It's "I am your father." You're right.
He says, "No, I
So then
am your
you get
father."
the whole payoff, right? Like in the
That's
sense of
true.
like
That's
you're
pretty
like,
good.
"Man," you get that surprise, and then you pause. And you say, "Hey, you want to see the real story of Anakin?" Okay, you go to do 1, 2, and then 3, so you can see how Anakin became Darth Vader, and then you close it off with Return of the Jedi, and you get like the entire compass. And I was like, that is probably going to be the way that I introduce it to my
So you're
daughter.
gonna say just bounce all over the place then, huh?
Yeah,
Interesting.
because I feel
Interesting.
like that's like it's like the good way to do the story arc, right? Because then you're like, okay, I now know who Darth Vader is. I know why Obi-Wan and him broke apart, and then like you Return of the Jedi. But again, I'm also like, I don't know what age is okay to introduce that to, because at my daughter's age right now, at 3, she's not going to understand that. So it's like,
She's gonna be like, whatever.
yeah. So it's like, is that 10? Is that 15? Is that 16? Like,
It depends. Like I said, my daughter, when she was 5, she grasped the concept of characters extremely well, to the point where we were watching like Lord of the Rings and she was remembering the characters' names. She understood who people were, what was going on. She understood. My son, he's almost 10. And if we were to watch that, he'd be like, "Yeah, I don't, some wizard guy. What do you want from me? I don't know that guy's name." Like, he just wouldn't, it just doesn't matter to him. He doesn't care. But like I said, a video game, Star Wars, all in.
yeah.
He'll be super invested. So I don't know. You have to let me know how that goes. That's
We're
very,
playing the
very
long
interesting.
game. We're playing the long game here.
You have like
Podcast
a
has to
10
wait.
step, yeah, 10-year plan of what we have.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. It's an interesting thing, and again, it gets me excited because it's like, even when we were at Disney a couple weeks ago, it was like she understood what Star Wars was. She wanted to go on the rides, and obviously it's not tall enough or anything like that. But like BB-8 comes out, R2-D2 comes out. She knows who they are. It's just like getting to my favorite thing. So before we went to Disney, we introduced her to Wally, and she's
Okay.
been obsessed with Wally ever since.
Great movie.
And so we started off at California Adventure. Yeah, California Adventures.
Really? You started
And
there?
hmm
Wow.
yeah, we started there because if we would have gone to Disneyland first, we would have got kicked out of California Adventures early because they were doing like the Oogie Boogie nighttime
Oh,
thing. So we had
got
to
it.
change the schedule. But we went to Pixar Pier. I got her like a little Wally, and like she loved it. And then we went to Disneyland and went to the Star Wars place, which California's got a way better Star Wars land than Florida. We'll dive into
Really?
that. We'll dive into that. But we went to the droid place, and she started playing with like the little RC chopper, but she put her Wally down with it and was like robot and robot like talking with each other. And I was like, yeah, this trip of going bankrupt for Disney, it was worth it. We're good.
That makes it worth it in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've only ever been to Disneyland. I definitely want to go to Disney World, but I have heard a lot of people say the Star Wars land in California was a lot better. I don't
Yeah,
know the differences, but
the only thing that I'll give it credit for, because like the rides are the same, the areas are exactly the same, the
okay.
restaurants are all the same. The only thing that I noticed is that when you're coming to the Star Wars area in California, like
Hmm.
the transformation between the area between like Frontierland to Disneyland, you're walking through like the trees and you hear like the wildlife change, and you like
Hmm.
that isn't present in the Florida one. Like the Florida one, you walk right past the Muppets 3D presentation and you go into a tunnel and then you come out into the Star Wars. So you don't get that like nature
Uh,
transfer. And I was like, man, like both times my wife and I were like, man, this is really cool because it makes it feel like you're in a completely different planet.
yeah, it's a little bit of a walk. I remember whenever we did the transitions between lands there, but yeah, it was. I
Yeah.
agree.
I was like, you could put a couple more rides in here.
Oh
You
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know why they haven't. Like it already is probably one of the most popular places in the park, and
Yep.
it's. I mean, I remember bringing my dad there. We went for Halloween a couple years ago. I want to say like 2021, 2022, something like that. But we went during like Halloween week, and the very last day we were there, we went for 5 days, and the very last day we were there, majority of my family was spent. Like they were like, we're done. It's like 8 p.m. They're like, nope, we're out. So me, my dad, and my daughter decided to stay, and we did everything Star Wars. So we did like Star Tours, and then we went to the Star Wars land, and we wanted to go on the Rise of the Resistance ride, but for some reason it was already closed, and we were like, darn it. So then we ended up doing the Smuggler's Run, the Millennium Falcon ride, and my dad was able to be the pilot one last time, and that was just like a dream come true for him.
Hmm.
And then it was just the atmosphere at night there. Did you guys see it both in the day and night?
Yeah.
Nighttime is just so freaking cool when you're
Yep.
there.
Yeah. It's incredible. Which kind of leads us into the topic of this week's show is that you talk about all this cool stuff about the parks, and then you look at everything else that Disney has done with Star Wars, and it's like, has Disney ruined Star Wars? That's the big conversation online this week, and I'm kind of split because I like there's parts that Disney owning it I think is super cool. I think it makes sense being part of the Disney family. I think being part of the parks is awesome. But then you look at stuff like the Acolyte coming out, and I'm just like, was that just Disney being Disney? But then on the flip side, you got like Ahsoka, you got the Kenobi show. There's been so many cool things that have came out, and I'm like, would that have happened if George Lucas still owned Disney? And I can't with confidence say we would have gotten any of these shows if George was still in charge of Star Wars. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's up for debate, and I feel like both sides could have a really valid argument because, like you said, some people are very very frustrated. I know uh, one of the most recent of the movies is one of your favorites, and some people are like, "Oh, they were so
Oh,
terrible,"
I had to think for
and
a second.
but there's moments in those newer movies that were really awesome, and freaking the Kenobi series, like just those few minutes with the fight between Vader and Obi, like I had been wanting that for so long, ever since seeing Revenge of the Sith. Like,
Hmm.
there's got to be more in between just 3 and 4. Like, come on, and that was like such a great scene, and I just love that scene so much. And not only that, but like with the Ahsoka show, that was fantastic too. And the fact that we have a freaking Star Wars land, like Disney was trying to pretty much bring Star Wars there for a long time. They've had Star Tours for a long time. They've had the Jedi Academy, which was an awesome thing that you
Hmm.
see with bring your kids to, and they get to fight Darth Vader or fight Darth Maul. Like that's so sick. And so like I said, both sides could have a valid argument of if they feel like Disney's ruining it or not. But the fact that I was able to go to a place that really felt like I was in the Star Wars universe and build a lightsaber, and I haven't built the droid yet. I know you've done that, but that's just so freaking cool to me.
If you could go back in time and I gave you the ability to make it happen or make it not happen, what would you choose?
Oh god. Oh, that's tough, man. I'd say make it happen.
Mm.
The things I've gotten out of Disney taking over, I feel like outweigh the unknown
Hmm.
because we don't know. It could have been good. Could have not. Star Wars could have died. Like, maybe not. Maybe George would have kept up with it, but we've got what we've got, and some of it has been awesome. Some of it's not been awesome, but I feel like that's kind of give and take for both things. Same with Marvel. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of Marvel has been freaking sick and awesome and amazing. And then after like Endgame, some of it's not been the best, but there's been some really awesome stuff too. Like seeing all three Spider-Mans come together. Like,
yeah, I'm with you there. Because I think like even when you think of like DC hasn't had a perfect batting record. And I think of like, okay, if Disney didn't buy it, who would have bought it? Because I don't think someone would have probably ended up coming along and buying it. And like, let's say like the path is that George would have just stayed independent, Lucas, and just kept putting out movies. He already wanted to make the other three movies that came out, so we would have gotten like 7, 8, 9. But his was a completely different plan than what we got. I don't think we would have gotten the Disney Plus series at all. I don't think Lucasfilms would have taken the advantage of saying like we're going to launch a streaming platform to put all of our movies out there. So I question like how accessible would Star Wars be, and I also look at like what Disney does like across the board of just whether it's animation, whether it's video games, whether it's parks, or whether it's toys, or whether it's merchandise, and I'm like, there's no other company out there that's doing what Disney does. It's just I'm like I don't really think there's a better home. Like I think Disney's the place it should be, and yeah, I get Lucas gets a lot of praise for things, but like if you went back to 1999 2000s, Lucas wasn't getting a lot of praise for the prequels. So I'm just like
that's true.
I just I think Disney doesn't deserve no, let me rephrase that. They do deserve some of the gripes because I think we're both kind of on the same page that some shows probably don't need to be made,
Yeah.
but like they've knocked out some absolute bangers of like Mandalorian, right?
Mandalorian, I freaking love Mandalorian.
Yeah. Would we have gotten Mandalorian if Disney didn't take over? Like that's I don't know.
Who knows?
It's crazy. Yeah.
You
So
may
I'm
never know.
I'm pro Disney.
Yeah, I'd say absolutely. Like I said, I feel like I've gotten there's good and bad, but I feel like the good has outweighed the bad for me so far. We'll see, how things keep progressing, but
yeah,
I've enjoyed it so far.
I think you hit it on the head with like you built a lightsaber. Like the fact that we could say
that. Freaking those are the coolest experiences. Like incredible.
You ain't gonna get that at Universal Studios or Six
Flags.
No. Like
maybe the mall. Man, that's we had like the little throwout lightsabers before, so
Yeah. So hey, you sent me some TikToks.
I did. So
you want preface or break down?
Yeah,
what you got,
I was trying to find. I'm a real big person that loves the holidays, so I've been real excited about Halloween coming up. I've been excited for Thanksgiving and Christmas and all of that. So I was really trying to find like good costumes for Halloween because I was a stormtrooper growing up. I think I was maybe like 10 or 12 when I was a stormtrooper one time, but I've always wanted to be Darth Vader. Like I've always wanted to dress up as Darth Vader, but I'm like, it'd have to be a really good costume. And like, I have a lightsaber now, but I'd have to have like a really good Darth Vader costume. So I was like really intrigued to see like, is there any videos out there where people have great costumes? So some of these are funny and some of them are just awesome costumes and no comedy to it whatsoever.
Okay. Do you have a photo of you as a stormtrooper?
Oh man, I don't think so.
Because I was a stormtrooper as a kid, and I was trying to think if I have a photo of it, but
I can look. I can ask my mom. My mom might have one.
I'll have to look. I'll look as well because that'd be funny. Because what type of stormtrooper costume did you have though?
Just like the white. It was like a fabric, like
and it had like the little plastic mask.
Yeah, okay. We were the same costume. Oh my god, that's awesome.
Yeah, I definitely was that. All right, so this first one, let me get this up.
Needed a last-minute Mandalorian costume.
Oh, God.
Look how good it looks, though.
That's great. Look at little Grogu.
Look at. He can't see anything, but
yeah, that dude gets all the candy. All the candy just shows up and just here.
As soon as he had like the underwear, like the panties, like putting it on I was like, that's freaking hilarious. And then he put it on, and I was like, that legitimately looks like it. That's pretty good.
Hell yeah, man.
That's some
Kudos to that guy.
Artistry, man.
Do you give more candy out at Halloween if like someone's a homemade costume? Or does that not cross your mind?
So, because here's the problem. I decorate quite a bit for Halloween. My house looks crazy. My house looks crazy right now, and nobody else's house really is decorated on the block. So, I take my kids out trick-or-treating, and we're usually out for a long time. So, for the longest time, I just never gave out candy.
Okay.
Now, last year, my mother-in-law gave out candy, and she's like, tons of people came. It was nuts. So, she was like, I ran out of candy. And I'm like, man, I felt so bad like for the years past. So, I always have candy like on the ready. And so for me, it's like I only see maybe 5 to 10 trick-or-treaters before we leave. So it's like I'm dishing out candy like crazy. But for homemade, I freaking love homemade costumes because I feel like that's a thing that people just don't do anymore. Like you made a freaking sick Iron Man costume one time.
Yep.
Like I was really impressed with that, but you took a lot of time with that. But it's like the effort and time that you're making into that is just so impressive to me. And I love when people do that. Good or bad.
I definitely dig the homemade costumes a lot more. Yeah, it's definitely cool. All right, this next one.
Play it again. You can see like the hesitation after he breaks it. He's like, "Oh God." We've all been there.
I am sending this to my wife because this is some shit that I would 100% do. And she would be like, why is that thing broken? Oh.
You have to explain it just like... She's just so proud. Purple lightsaber. Look at that.
His mom's going to be so pissed.
That's definitely like not his bathroom. No, I don't think any person that's that age has like a wallpaper bathroom like that. So yeah, mom or grandma pissed off.
I was not prepared for that. I did not think that that's where the video was going. But
caught me off guard too.
So freaking great. All right. Wait. One more time.
What's your cosplay and who have you been mistaken for?
I'm Ahsoka Tano from Rebels, and I have been mistaken for the Cheeto Tiger. Right, that's the tiger?
Yeah, Tony the Tiger. The Cheeto, it's good. Cheeto Tiger. The Cheeto Tiger. What's your cosplay and who have you been mistaken for?
I'm a Jedi, and I was mistaken for Game of Thrones earlier today. Lord Varys. Walk through the garden, speak of betrayal with me.
What's your cosplay and who have you been mistaken for?
I'm Hera Syndulla, and I was mistaken for Shrek.
What are you doing in my swamp?
I just got mistaken for Kermit.
Like that's something I never thought about. Like me seeing those people, I would know exactly who they are. Every single one of them. The middle one, maybe. That one I understood the Varys a little bit more from Game of Thrones, but every single one of them, I was like, yeah, Ahsoka Tano. Yeah.
She straight said Cheetos.
she said Cheeto Tiger. And then the guy like tried to make fun of her and was like, they're great. And she's like, that's Frosted Flakes. What are you making fun of me for? It's a Cheeto Cheetah. Chester.
Oh, man. That's one of the most perfect videos I've ever seen in my life. That was great. That was so great.
Oh man.
Oh, we got 2 more. Should we just end it there?
I got 2 more. One of them actually is perfect with your homemade costume. So
okay. Bro.
That looks so good.
Bro, how did he do that? Hold on.
Like you made that? Like
that's sick.
I'm assuming just like stickers. Like that's great. I'd be stoked if I saw that.
That's ridiculously good. So do you use Facebook Marketplace at all?
I hear nothing but horror stories from that. Anytime I've tried to look at it, I really just don't. So
we've sold a bunch of stuff on Facebook Marketplace. It says like we don't need furniture anymore, so we'll sell it on there. But like I'll type in things that I'm into, like Star Wars, Halloween, like King Kong, just random stuff, and like it'll like curate it for me. There's a lady in Waco who is selling the R2-D2 cooler. You know, like the like the
Oh,
chest.
like the Pepsi one?
Yeah.
No way, dude.
She's wanting like 1,500, and I'm just like, I can't justify 1,500. But
That's a
like,
lot.
you drop 250, I'll pick up 250. Like,
Dude, I got
100.
chills. That was like a core memory of being like in a Circle K.
Yep. Yep.
Seeing them in there.
Yeah, it's like
Wow.
it's you get stuff like that comes across that I'm like, oh man, I would be so excited to own this, but at the same time, you're out of your mind if I'm going to be dropping a couple grand
No
for
way.
that thing.
I'll find this lady and tell her to just put like a bowl underneath it. Call it good.
Yeah. No, that's a great costume. That's a great
Right?
one.
Wait till you see this next one.
Oh, we got what the
They're getting the whole bowl. The whole bowl of candy if I were to see that.
dude?
Even the guns move.
I'm at a loss for words right now, man.
That is so sick, dude. Incredible.
Bro. I'm like trying to figure it out, but like
Right?
it's like straight puppet work, but it's great.
It's so good. It's like I said, a whole bowl. I'd be like, we're done. Sorry. We got no more candy. Apologize. This person took it all. You can thank them.
100%, dude. Like, that's great. Yeah. I don't know if you can see that on camera. Literally R2D2. Yeah.
That looks pretty good.
Yeah.
That's
it's
from
still
like,
held
was
together.
that like late 90s or something like that?
It was back when like the prequels started coming out.
Yeah. Dang.
Bro, that
That's-
AT-AT is sick. I gotta see that one more time. Hold on. Because I was literally just like trying to. Oh, sorry. ATS. Shit, we're gonna get so much shit for me saying that AT-AT.
The at.
Yeah. The ats.
The ast.
Like, look at that. That's so sick. Like,
That's so cool.
that's where like your parents clearly have like an understanding of costumes and work.
I kind of want to make that for my kids. You imagine a whole army of us just walking down the street with us?
Imagine doing an AT-AT and then like the other two are speeder or like the snow speeders, so they're circling around.
Oh my god.
That'd be sick.
Little Ewoks. Have the kids dress up like Ewoks. Oh my gosh, you could have your kids dress up like Ewoks.
Yeah, and I'll be that, and my kids can be that. No, my kids. We're trying to get my kids to, like, now I understand why like your mom set up like group costumes, because like trying to get my kid to settle on anything, because like she wants to be a troll, she wants to be Peter Pan, and there was one other one that she was throwing out there that she wanted to be, and I'm like, we gotta pick something. We're coming
It changes.
Yeah.
Changes day by day. And then on the day of Halloween, it's like, it'll change again.
Yeah.
Good luck with that, man.
Yeah. Well, I guess the only way to kind of wrap this all up on our return episode is to talk about what's coming next. So there are going to be some Star Wars shows coming down the pipe. We have Andor season 2, which is filming and in production, and so we'll have to do something
Sweet.
Andor related to get you caught up. But then Skeleton Crew, which is what we've been talking about, like cool kid show. So yeah, that's definitely coming. And my goal is for this show not to end, for us to continue this. That's my goal.
It was just a little hiatus for 1 year.
Yeah, just a
1 year break.
Hey, George Lucas took time off.
Yeah. You know, we're just following his footsteps.
Yeah, we're taking time between the seasons, but no, it's it's something that my goal at the end of the day is to, like, you know, create a community that likes Star Wars, and if it ends in us getting cameos in Star Wars, like little behind the scenes stuff, then it was all worth it.
Even if I'm in that ATST outfit and I'm running around in the background.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah, even if we make our own Star Wars, you know what I'm saying? Like, we'll film our own.
Oh man, well, it's been fun, man. I've missed this, and I'm excited to get back into it. So I appreciate you guys watching. You know, do all those fun things, like, comment, subscribe. We'll try to be around more, and apologize for any of you faithful listeners out there that were like, where'd they go? What happened? We're back, baby.
We are back. Better than ever. May the Force be with you.
Always.